Wow, that video just gives me chills sometimes. So what I want us to do now is look at the worksheet that's inside of your assignment. And I want you to think about which of those statements you agree with, disagree with, or strongly disagree with. And this will get your brain percolating, I like that word, that means thinking. Start thinking about who you are and how you define who you are, okay? So today we're going to talk about names. Now, I introduced myself to you guys as Miss Young, but my first name is Ariana, spelled Aryanne. Yes, and it's pronounced Ariana. So I have a pretty funky name. I would love to hear y'all's names. So, names are one way that we are given an identity, and it's the way that we first present ourselves to the rest of the world with our identity. So, I want us to think for a second about the reasons why some people might change their names. There's a list of some famous people who changed their names, like Jay-Z, Lady Gaga, Jon Stewart, Mark Twain, Muhammad Ali. Why do you guys think that they changed their names? Did these surprise you at all? Have you ever thought about changing your name? What would you change it to? Wow, that's really interesting. What I would love for you guys to do is to draw or write on your screen using your Nearpod and talk about why you were given your name, why you like or dislike it, and how it fits your personality. Also, maybe you guys had a time when someone made an assumption about you because of the way your name sounded or the way it was spelled. How did that make you feel? You guys can either write on Nearpod or you can turn and talk. So, for me, my name is Ariana, and it means a very holy woman, right? There's different versions of it, and it's been used all over the world. It's used in French, Spanish, English, Greek. I was actually named after my mother's best friend, who was from this island over here, also in the Pacific Ocean, called Indonesia. And Ariana is actually a very common name there. Not always spelled with an E, but sometimes, right? And so that's what my name means. Growing up, people will call me Ariane, Orion, Arian. I wasn't a fan. And when I got into high school, I actually changed my name a little bit. My dad still calls me Ariana to this day, but people decided to shorten my name and call me Ari, and I didn't like that because it made me feel like I was an airhead, which they reminded me of. And I didn't love that. So I decided that my name was going to be Ariana, so the nickname could be Ari. Have you guys ever tried to change your name? What nicknames do you have? Do you like them? So I want to review with you guys one vocabulary word. This word is inherit. Inherit is something that you get from your family. We talked about how our family defines who we are. So the word inherit is something, a personal quality, an interest, or physical appearance that you receive from your family. I have inherited her name, which means she received it from her grandmother, but I don't want to inherit her place by the window. So we're going to be reading one of my favorite books today. It's called The House on Mango Street. We're reading a vignette for the section is called My Name by Sandra Cisneros. I'm going to read it with you guys, and I have made the pages editable in the Nearpod. So if you guys want to draw or annotate on there, you guys can switch off of this and do it in Nearpod instead. It's up to your teacher. In English, my name means hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. It means sadness. It means waiting. It is like the number 9. A muddy color, it is the Mexican records my father plays on Sunday mornings when he is shaving. Songs like Sobbing. It was my great-grandmother's name, and now it's mine. She was a horsewoman, too, born like me in the Chinese Year of the Horse, which is supposed to be bad luck if you're born female, but I think this is a Chinese lie because the Chinese, like the Mexicans, don't like their women strong. My great-grandmother. I would have liked to have known her, a wild horse of a woman, so wild she wouldn't marry, until my great-grandfather threw a sack over her head and carried her off just like that, as if she was a fancy chandelier. That's the way he did it. And the story goes she never forgave him. She looked out the window her whole life. The way so many women sit their sadness on an elbow. I wonder if she made the best with what she got, or was she sorry because she couldn't be all the things she wanted to be? Esperanza. I have inherited her name, but I don't want to inherit her place by the window. At school, they say my name funny as if the syllables were made out of tin and hurt the roof of your mouth, but in Spanish my name is made out of a softer something like silver, not quite as thick as my sister's name Magdalena, which is uglier than mine, Magdalena who can at least come home and be nanny, but I am always Esperanza. I would like to baptize myself under a new name, a name more like the real me, the one nobody sees. Esperanza as Lysandra or Maritza or Zizi the X. Yes, something like Zizi the X will do. I really love this vignette because it helps me think about what the character might have been feeling. What stood out to you when you read this or heard this? What lines created imagery in your mind? Did you identify with anything the character was saying? I did. When she talked about the way her name sounded, I did, because my name does sound different when one person says it to another person says it, right? Another part that stood out to me is when she talked about her great-grandmother. We all are connected to our past. We're connected to our families, and they help influence, for better or for worse, who we are inside. And we get to choose if we inherit their story or create our own legacy, and that is something we have the power to do, to write our own story. What story would you write with your name? So, now, what I want you to do is, well, this is my cat. She's interrupting our lesson, I'm sorry. So what I want you guys to do, you have two options. You guys can either use the sunray, or you can use the grid, whichever one your teacher thinks might be most appropriate. With the grid, you may be able to use this in Nearpod and maybe insert an image or insert a word for each of these activities. And I want you to think about who you are. How are you defined? And how does knowing who you are help you move through the world differently, more confidently, and more powerfully, right? Because I really think knowing your identity helps you become more powerful. You could have the option to create the sunray. It's the same idea, and this allows a little more creativity, and you could put an image or a word where each ray is facing and your name goes in the middle. Lastly, you have a little exit ticket, and you guys can draw this in or write this in. And I want you to think about like your name, your nickname, and why you would change it, and go ahead and share this out with your peers, okay? So this is your exit ticket at the end of your lesson. I want to thank you guys so much for letting me be here with you guys. I am so honored, and I hope that you enjoyed that short excerpt from The House on Mango Street. And I can't wait for your teacher to tell me all about your lesson, and for her to tell me like what you learned and how you learned that your name and your voice has power, your story has power, and you get to control your story. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to meet you someday soon. Bye!